sir. Let's get it. June concludes with dreams of brighter months to come for these two sides this evening. For their second meeting of the season, Carolina Core hosts Huntsville City. The home side are reconfiguring their core ever since Jake Davis took the reins a month ago. The shape is forming. Now it's about proving the product going forward. A blistering run of form from April to May has screeched to a halt in a tough way for Huntsville City. Tonight, they aim to take off once again. Welcome one and all to the broadcast. My name is Mark Schoenster. Excited to be presenting this one and witnessing how this one unfurls with you all. The playoff line looms well above the heads of these two teams, but there's ample time to change that narrative. But it's going to take picking up the pieces now in order to avoid the pressure cooker going forward. Let's take a look at some starting lineups. Now, first off, of course, for the home side and interim head coach Jake Davis, Bryce Swinehart signed, announced yesterday, and he is in the starting lineup paired up with Charles Orbaugh as the center back pairing. So that is going to be a very interesting debut to see for someone who hasn't been around the team for that long, but also great opportunity to prove yourself with your new club. Meanwhile, Nick Holliday returns to goal after last game. We saw the likes of Trevor Jackson in between the sticks for the third time this season. Nick Holliday with his 14th start this year, so the more common of the options there in goal, but we'll see what he does. The loanee from Charlotte FC. Also, Andrew Check and Seth Hammond, recent additions to the team, also once again in the starting lineup. Now, on the other side of things for head coach Chris O'Neill, it's a short bench today, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Just 4 options off the bench, so get well acclimated with this starting 11 because most of them are going to play the entire game. Liam Stribling just recently was announced as an MLS Next All-Star, the 15-year-old who has stepped up recently, and now he's going to have to continue to step up. Given that context, Joshua Swansea also getting his first start, the academy kid, all the way at the top of the formation. If they can get a goal from him, especially with just the limited minutes he's played so far, that would be a big win for this Huntsville City side. As both teams now get ready to get this one going. Wearing yellow today, our officiating crew. They'll be led by John Griggs. Once again, my name is Mark Schoenster. Excited to be having this one with you today. It'll be Huntsville in the orange and Carolina Core in the white. The whistle sounds, and we are ready to go. These are two teams hungry for 3 points. And they're going to rely on some new faces to help them get there. So, in the team sense, it's a big chance for these two sides going up against an opponent that's also still in the well as far as the Eastern Conference standings, but also it's a great opportunity individually for some of these players, whether they be academy guys who haven't gotten a ton of looks with the second team for Huntsville City or for the first team with Carolina Core, or just brand new acquisitions who haven't even been within one of these organizations getting the chance to step up here and leave their mark on this season and in their respective club. So it should be fun. We're watching this game at Truist Point Stadium in North Carolina. Around 84 degrees right now. Pretty humid day as well, as you would expect at this time of the year. One more game here in the month of June for these two sides before we get to the July slate of games. So pretty warm, pretty humid. It does mean we are going to get a hydration break, which those of you who have been watching a lot of footy recently will be accustomed to at this point. Of course, not a requirement, though, with every Knicks Pro game, but when it's necessary, then you're going to make that call, and this is certainly the conditions where that can be the case. Both these teams coming off of interesting and unique weeks. For Carolina Core, last weekend they played against Inter Miami 2 in a game that went into weather delay for hours on end, which is always a bizarre situation, especially after a busy week where they had a midweek fixture going into that match. It was a 0-0 draw. They won the extra point in penalty kicks. It's a game, though, that Jake Davis felt like, as the interim head coach, they thought they were going to get all 3 points from until that delay hit in around the 30th minute of that match. Felt they were all over them. And then the delay happens, and you're already expected to lose your legs a little bit, maybe in the second half due to the travel and the midweek game, but then you add the delay in there as well, and that's just going to accentuate those previous factors. But once they got their feet back underneath them again after the halftime break in that game, after the long break of the weather delay, we're solid once again in the second half of action, but couldn't find a goal to break away. But at the same time, also didn't allow an Inter Miami 2 team that are hungry for a result themselves to find a game winner in regulation, and instead you're able to get a bigger slice of the pie once the match and penalty kicks had concluded. So they'll be feeling pretty good about how they managed their interesting situation. Meanwhile, Huntsville City didn't have a game last weekend because their match was postponed. They were going to play Crown Legacy. Some logistical issues getting in the way on that one. So they didn't really know if they were going to have a game last weekend up till Friday, and then it finally was announced. So they were able to set up a scrimmage. You got your whole roster. You got your roster of players, and then you bring in a couple extra guys from around in Alabama. You got to replicate that match load even when you don't actually have a game, because that's the cadence you want is weekend game. You train for the week for another game the next weekend. Then you train the next week, another game of the weekend. Every now and then, obviously, that schedule can get a little bit more wacky, whether it be games in the middle of the week, as this one couldn't be quite flipped through. And sometimes you can even have a week and a half off of between games. But I think the pattern you're looking for as a player, as a coaching staff, or really everybody, is you love when you just have that one game on the weekend that you sort of build up the whole week prior into. Service swinging across, caught by the goalkeeper. Well, Mackey, the one in between the sticks for this Huntsville team. Mackey with his 12th start of the season after spending 4 years in MLS Next Pro with Real Monarchs, along with being in that Real Salt Lake Academy system even longer than that. I think an important point to clarify, or to emphasize, I should say, as this one is trying to be rolled forward for Carolina Core. Won't go anywhere with it, but one thing to really emphasize for Huntsville in that scrimmage situation they had is they did bring in some players that are not part of the club to make sure you get some different looks for guys, so then it feels a little bit more like you're playing a team in Next Pro or just playing in a new opponent where you have to learn about guys you're going up against. It's not someone you're training with every single day and you have an understanding of their tendencies and their objectives. As Huntsville now, a couple guys rushing forward, dribbling, slides it up ahead nicely. Serving around, the ball's lofted in, the header towards goal is straight on goal. Nick Holliday doesn't have to put in a heroic effort to catch that one. It's nodded straight towards him by Angel Iniguez. It's a good stretching play from Huntsville going forward, and then a nice cross floated up for someone to get on the receiving end of, and Iniguez will wished he had done better to test the goalkeeper there. That's a good find on the other side. Here come Carolina Core. And that service too close to goal, caught by Mackey. Both goalkeepers getting activated here in recent moments. That'll be nodded out for Malachi Molina to throw back into play. Molina playing the last game as more of a right winger than as a right back, where he's usually located. Returning to his natural spot for this game. This one tossed forward. Iniguez tried to stutter inside before feeding it back to Yoshizawa. And of course, when I say last game, I'm referring to their match against Orlando, which is now a good while ago, since they didn't have that game against Crown Legacy last weekend. I'm talking about all the way back to June 13th. A game they lost 2-1 after having the lead. Pineda. I'll get out to the left-hand side. Here's Hammond. Seth Hammond with the curling cross. And it'll end up being a productive service. Corner kick ensuing for Carolina Core. First corner kick opportunity for either team in this match. In the 10th minute, the home side trying to strike on some gold here. Drifting over and nodded back out. They'll have another take. Along that back post, you never mind a header across goal again. Just begging for somebody to get on the receiving end and knock it into the back of the net. It's always difficult for a keeper to manage that. So here comes another service. This one low driven. And much less threatening at the end of things. Stribling, streaking forward. Liam Stribling. The offside flag may have popped up there had it reached its intended target. But it's something at the end of the day we won't have full confirmation on because it was managed regardless of that fact by Carolina Core. Stribling. Working his way forward. Liam Stribling lays it off nicely. The shot's taken and it's saved. Nick Holliday falls down, keeping that one out. The shot from Pariano, not dangerous enough. But it's another promising moment for Carolina Core, and Stribling involved in it once again, the 15-year-old who's really come into his own as of late. Both sides with some promising forays. Shaping up to be a pretty exciting matchup here. Sometimes you can just tell when a game is just gonna be cagey and both teams have some inhibitions, but it seems both of these sides are ready to have this one cracking throughout. Such a tough thing to go back to talking about that game with the large weather delay, especially for several hours. I mean, it ended up being around 4 hours that they had to halt action. And Jake Davis was very complimentary of his group's character and just how responsible you need to be in order to stay sharp in those situations. You gotta be able to flip the switch pretty quickly and then maybe flip it back off again only to turn it on later. They knew for the first hour and a half that they weren't going to be going back out there, so you could have a more concrete plan of how you want to manage that. But after that, then you're working in those 20 to 30-minute intervals where you're just waiting for that lightning strike to not land in the radius of the pitch, and that timer starts, and you have to start getting ready to go again, and then suddenly, oh, we got another strike in the radius. Let's restart that counter once again. And as much as there's the physical element to that and making sure that you're ready to go once that whistle goes, but there's also a significant mental side to that as well. You got to think about these players as a professional, and even before you get to the professional ranks, you get into routines that kind of help you get into the mindset on game day. This one's played back to the top. Pariano lays it off to his right. Iniguez to his left now. This shot skipping towards goal and ends up off target. Here's a look at that take once again. Nick Holliday just got to watch it bounce out of play.
We have some birthdays in the building. Let's wish them a happy birthday. Thanks for celebrating with the Core.
Here's Charles Orbaugh on the ball. Over to Bryce Swinehart, making his debut with Carolina Core after he was announced as a signee yesterday. Worth noting, there's also two other players who were announced today that are on the bench, so we'll see if either of those guys make their way into the match. But Swinehart, fresh off a pretty good college career, 3 years at Liberty, and then last season played at West Virginia. That one's gonna roll all the way through, no threat. Pretty good Mountaineer representation on this Carolina Core team today. Swinehart here, Ryan Baer in the middle of the pitch, Antonio Pineda on the more attacking end. A lot of guys who have made stops in Morgantown and left their mark there. Go Forth Home Services is a proud signature partner of CCFC. Founded in the Carolina Core in 1959, Go Forth Home Services is our region's trusted provider for your home services needs, including pest control, heating and cooling, plumbing, and smart technologies. Yoshizawa swerving inside. Still Yoshizawa. This one nearly clipped through for the captain to get on the end of. Huntsville, perhaps the more incisive of the two teams going forward here in the opening 16 or so minutes. Molina back in the middle, it's fed. Side that's short-handed in this game, just 4 options on the bench for Huntsville. 2 of which are academy guys who have both only played 1 time this season. So you also wonder exactly how that adjusts your approach as a team. More players are going to be playing the full 90 than usual. And is there more intentionality of the times you opt to make particular runs? It certainly hasn't looked that way so far. Not too much tentative nature in this game up to this point, but perhaps that can change as this one develops further as Carolina Core pushing forward. Good layup to the right-hand side. The shot off target. Arno Tatava lays it off nicely. And Andrew Check couldn't put it on frame. Had some fire sizzling behind it. But ultimately, the shot can have as much power as you want. But if it's skying off target, then doesn't make too much of a difference. Yoshizawa tried to thread the needle there, unsuccessfully. Looking to counter press and win it back. No whistle there from John Griggs. Tateva over to the left-hand side. Rainbolt, he's persistent. Thomas Rainbolt. No one on the receiving end of that cross. Ryan Baer has it now. Some pressure being applied here by the home team. Another cross swung inside. Dealt with by Huntsville City. Alonso feeling some heat. He's able to turn around nicely, then gets knocked over. Savvy work from the left back. Alonso, a player that was able to burst onto the scene as an academy kid last season for Huntsville City, and it's just being his 3rd appearance in 2026. But another opportunity for him to show his quality. Yoshizawa has Molina overlapping, but he'll cut inside. Yoshizawa still dribbling. Ran out of real estate. Now the ball launched over the left-hand side. Here's Pineda. Antonio Pineda! It's a strong hand. That's a great save from Will Mackey. His palm taking the sting off this shot. Swats the fly and then covers up the carnage afterwards. Ball's been won back. Swerving forward. The shot is taken and it's deflected out of bounds. Ricardo Montenegro having a go himself, but it's a great sliding challenge to close the door. Now a corner kick for Carolina Core. A dangerous spurt here now for the home side. After some inquisitive moments on the other end of the pitch. And is a retort from the hosts. And another set piece. Still in the box, now cleared away. Can this one be settled down? Some boxing out taking place, and a goal kick is won by Huntsville. A team that's, I won't say losing, a team that doesn't have certain players available right now with the MLS team back in and training over these past 2 weeks, ramping up back to the return to action there. So they have some of the guys you might have come familiar with here on this Huntsville team. Great opportunity for them to play with some first teamers. And at the same time, it's a great opportunity for some of these other guys to get the chance to work with the Huntsville staff that maybe don't get as much attention when there is a more lush roster. Misei Yoshizawa all by himself. Yoshizawa still going! He's had his eyes on some danger here in this game, Misei Yoshizawa. With the ball at his feet, he has been on the hunt. Perhaps there were other moments where maybe he took too long on the ball. He was all by himself this time and nearly made some magic happen. He earns a corner kick. And we'll see on this first set piece opportunity of the evening for the visitors if they can make use of it. From the left corner flag. Sent back to the sender. Nowhere to go forward with it, so they try to reload, and now perhaps an avenue here. Yoshizawa, so far in this game, has not seen a dribble that he wouldn't like. Molina with some room to operate. Malachi Molina dancing as he goes. Molina over to Stribling. They're inching closer to goal. Stribling has to retreat, though. They're starting to get numbers into the box. Jarvis. The loanee plays it to Stribling, who keeps it going. Ball sent inside. Nodded up into the air. Molina will pick up the pieces. Malachi Molina. Rolling it back to Pariano. Sustained possession in the attacking half for Huntsville here. Looking to generate some vulnerability. Molina able to play it forward. Lifted into the air, settled down. Appeals for a handball that will be acquiesced by our head official. And it's much needed reprieve for the home side that were on their toes there for a good while. And it leads us to this next portion of the match. Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist is proud to be the official healthcare provider of Carolina Core FC. as I mentioned earlier, for Huntsville City, it's next man up right now with some of the guys practicing with Nashville right now. Opportunity for some of the younger players, some of the less experienced players to get some time with the coaching staff and get some valuable playing minutes, like Joshua Swansea here, who has played about 6 minutes coming into this game total on the season in 3 appearances. Now, it's worth noting, it's probably more than a literal 6 minutes because that doesn't account for stoppage time when you're recording stats. But still pretty minimal as we see our first booking. Kessie Koulibaly with his 2nd yellow card of the season. Long free kick here for Carolina Core. This will bounce over. Set it out wide. Montenegro. Sent in and try to be parried towards goal by Tateva. Take some quick reflexes to get onto the end of that one, and although he was able to touch the ball, he couldn't redirect it the way he would have liked. One win so far in the Jake Davis tenure here for Carolina Core, and it was against Crown Legacy, which is quite the statement result, as they are currently tied for first place in the Eastern Conference. And that game was the image of what this team wants to be under Davis. He was saying that he wants his side to give the crowd something to cheer for, and their side that wants to have control in a game and throw some sophisticated patterns at their opposition. And then on the other side of things, a side that's going to enjoy counter-pressing you. Want to win the ball back quick, maintain intensity, but also be intelligent. So not just haphazardly counter-pressing, but the idea is the moment you lose the ball, what better time to win it back than right then? So you'll see those white jerseys fly at the orange kits throughout this game, especially right after coughing up possession. Talking about that Carolina Core structure now. Chris O'Neill, manager for Huntsville City, he sees it. He sees the way that Jake Davis has got this side structured and mentioned just how difficult a match it was going to be. He really feels like Carolina Core is starting to click. Talked about just how dangerous they can be going inside out. So he's very tuned in on what this Carolina Core team can do, especially from the wings and the channels, swinging into the box. Quite frankly, it's a good challenge developmentally for this Huntsville team. Got to learn how to be able to defend teams that can push the ball like that, as Carolina Core will look to enjoy some of the ball here in the attacking half, though. Swinehart making a run forward. His first effort takes a glance off of Stribling. That was a little haywire. It'll end up being a deep throw-in for the hosts. Montenegro winning the ball back. Still with it. A lot of jerseys in a tight area. Whistle sounds, and we're going to get our hydration break here. So both sides will go to the bench, get some water, make sure that they stay fit for the match, and also a chance to talk to their respective coaches and see what kind of adaptations can be made here in these next 15 minutes. It's worth letting you know, fans, that possibility starts at Skyla Credit Union. See what your money can do at SkylaCU.com. Scoreless so far in this game, but certainly there's been a lot of activity as this match has developed, and really both sides have had their moments where they can feel really good about what they've been able to generate. Now it's just about that next step. Just to dig into some of the numbers real quick. 5 shots to 3 in favor of Huntsville. 2 on target to 1, also in favor of Huntsville. More corner kicks, though, for Carolina Core, which is also an indicator you can look at when it comes to the fact that you're making things happen in the attacking third. Around the same amount of passes between the two sides. So really, it's both the eye test would indicate this, at least from my point of view, and the numbers seem to shake hands in agreement here that this game has been pretty even up to this point in the match. I think both sides could be pretty happy as well, though, defensively with how they've managed the dangerous moments the opposition has thrown their direction. So now it's just about that final step, that quality pass or that finish that may be a little bit more fiery than what's been seen so far. But I think both these teams are demonstrating an eye for goal in this game. Both sides will saunter back out. It'll be a throw-in here on this left side. And we'll see how these next 15 minutes go here. Pretty much got the whistle at around the 31-minute mark, so that would mean you're going to get about another 2 or 3 minutes bare minimum tacked on in stoppage time here at the end of the half. As Carolina Core look to come rushing out the gate after the hydration break. Hammond. Hold over to the left-hand side. Check. Excuse me, that's Kaiser, who now sends in the cross. Ryan Bear pokes it behind him to Charles Orball, one of the center backs. This is a group that has gone through and overcome a lot, says Jake Davis. They went into that last game against Inter Miami 2 with the message, let's go earn it. And they were able to earn themselves 2 points in a difficult day. Difficult, not for the match, but for all the other circumstances swirling around the match. That one sent inside nicely, dummied over to Tatovo. And another corner ensuing now. Dummy to Tatava. Didn't quite reach him. And that's due to Kessie Koulibaly, excuse me, Nigel Prince, just launching that one out of play. Not going to risk it. loading up closer towards the back post. This one won't stay in frame and stay in play. It is a tall order, and no pun intended there, as I say it, to win a set piece against this center back duo of Nigel Prince and Kessie Koulibaly. Prince at 6'2", Koulibaly 6'7". So that is a pretty towering group of center backs, and Malachi Molina over the right back spot at 6 feet clean. Throwing Jarvis in that same category there. It's a lot of big bodies that you have to try to overcome, and then it makes you wonder about what they could do on corner kicks on the other side. Montenegro, offside flag pops up. Joshua Swansea getting the start today, just his 4th appearance with Huntsville City. You could see him there at the top of the shape in the orange kit wearing number 99. The rightmost on your screen as far as an orange kit's concerned. Trying to see if he can take advantage of this opportunity here today. Even though they didn't get to play a game this past weekend, at least not in a league game, pretty much same old this week in preparation to this game. They're able to still isolate some video footage from their scrimmage that they could show the players, even though they didn't have, a full league match to dig into. That's going to roll out for another corner kick. Yet another corner kick here for Carolina Core. Now had a handful of them in this match. It's going to be their 5th one. All lofted ahead towards goal by Swinehart. Can it be kept in danger? Tantava couldn't quite do it. One back by Carolina Core, who have basically had all the possession in this game since the hydration break. They basically just challenged Huntsville to react to what they've done with the ball at their feet. It's been managed by the visitors. The longer this goes along, you just wonder about how long you can maintain that structure, that solidity. That's what Huntsville was trying to do earlier when they had their own spell of possession. All the ebbs and flows in this sport. Tatava dribbling nicely. Tried to go for the 1-2 there. Thomas Rainbolt was trying to comply and make it happen, but the door shut pretty quickly by a swarm of orange jerseys. That was a bit physical, and it will mean a free kick. But they're going to just put right back into play. J.C. Griggs, our head official, doesn't mind that. There's some of that pressure from Carolina Core. Can they reap rewards from it? Rainbolt, just a little bit too nonchalant with the ball at the top of the 18. Heady move there from Montenegro to keep that free kick from being taken quickly and perhaps sparking a quick Route 1 attack for Huntsville. They will end up launching it down the pitch regardless, and they'll get a throw in the attacking half. Angelini Gez will toss it back to Molina. Will Mackey doesn't mind having the ball at his feet. Doesn't seem to be any stress there from the goalkeeper. Really is becoming just a requirement now if you're going to play professional goalie that you need to be comfortable with the ball at your feet. It's just the modern goalkeeper skill set. But it's still something worth acknowledging and lauding. Ariano poised, even in tight spaces. Jarvis will play it back to Molina. Molina trying to turn into some real estate, and he successfully twisted himself out of a bind. And now they'll progress down the left-hand side. Stribling, cutting in. Tried to slice that pass into the box. And he commits the foul, preventing Czech from bursting in the other direction. Both sides out of the hydration break have done pretty good to lock down on the dangerous areas on the pitch and have kept their opposition to just passing it around those locations. That's on both ends of the pitch. Hammond. That pass intercepted by Jarvis. But here's that counter pressing. And it's once again reaped some rewards. Montenegro into the penalty area, sliding it across the middle. It's another great save. Not out of the woods yet. And Carolina Core score. So collision on the pitch has resulted in a Huntsville player going down. Bryce Swinehart trying to jump into a passing lane, and there's a little bit of a hip collision. The difference in this game so far, a goal from Thomas Rainbolt. His second goal this season, his 6th goal contribution. 2 goals, 4 assists now is his tally. Carolina Court looking to continue to prove the concepts and the ideas that Jake Davis has brought in since he's become interim. And they could be onto something again here. Ball cleared away. But that goal coming from some counter-pressing, which is really one of the big things that they're looking for throughout these games. How quickly can you win the ball back after you lose it? Because sometimes that's the best time to win the ball back before the other team really gets themselves settled with the ball, as this one's launched forward. They're trying to win a 2nd straight home game after besting Crown Legacy the last time they were here. Their first win in the Jake Davis tenure. A game and a product that he wants to be recreating each and every game. Way to really get bums in seats. It's been a pretty lively match throughout, so you get some exciting football, and then if the home team can rack up points and goals, that's only going to attract more people. And we'll see if we get any more time here from J.C. Griggs. Nope, we will not. That'll be it for the first half of action. 1-0 your scoreline. Carolina Core, courtesy of Thomas Rainbolt, has put his team ahead. Coming up on our halftime show, we look ahead for a new club in Long Island, plus highlights and our upcoming schedule after this timeout.
They say the world's game is played everywhere. This is how we play it here. Every weekend across North America. From Vancouver's mountain rain to the shores of Florida. From the City of Angels to the Heartland. The world's brightest stars light up our fields.
Let's go.
And our fans bring the world to life. In every language, in every city. One game, one roar. Sold out nights under lights. New soccer citadels rising from coast to coast. Every chant, every goal, another brick in a growing relief. Now, the world's biggest stage comes to our home. And when they arrive, they'll find the game's heartbeat has been here all along.
Welcome back. Your scoreline is 1-0. Carolina Core with the lead. Thomas Rainbolt with the lone goal in this game. We visited with Grand Rapids last weekend. Now let's head to the Northeast and check in with another future club, the Island FC.
The opportunity to build a professional soccer club in Long Island, to me is really unique. Number one, because I'm from New York, I'm from Queens. It's a community that I'm very familiar with, that I resonate with. Long Island has a tremendous source of pride that only Long Islanders know and feel. To do this in a place where there is such a rich soccer history, on the youth end, professionally, is also unique. We're not just launching a soccer club, we're launching a culture, we're launching a community space, we're launching a brand and a team that will make Long Island proud. The Island FC will represent, not just what's happening on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we certainly give more than we take, and that's in all parts of the organization and the club.
I came to Long Island 40 years ago now and created the very first professional coaching organization. And out of that has grown this tremendous industry of viral coaching, super clubs and companies. And this is really an end result for that. It's an opportunity through the Island FC to act as an embracing organization that really brings the island together in a significant way and propels male and female soccer to the top. This is bringing professional soccer right to the heart of Long Island, and it makes that dream a reality. They will see young Long Island players coming through and playing pro here with the Island FC and representing Long Island on that international stage.
The biggest sporting event in the world is embracing two ideas that started here. One designed to keep the game moving, another designed to better protect the players within it. Both were first tested in MLS Next Pro.
The league launched in 2022, but prior to that, there were 4 pillars that we came around, really rallied around, where we wanted to build and drive growth. Those 4 pillars were professional development, local communities, access, and innovation. The game has been around for over 100 years, but for the most part, a lot of the rules have stayed the same, but the game has evolved so much, particularly over the last 30 years.
MLS Next Pro has been a really good proving ground for a lot of these new rules that they're bringing into effect. The players in the competition have been very open to trying out new things. We've seen some really, really good developments, and a lot of the things that have been trialed in that competition have been elevated to MLS, and now we're seeing elevated to the FIFA level as well. This was something that it was easy for them to get their heads around. But I was pleasantly surprised to see them take this on in a format that's very, very similar to what we've been doing already.
Ideas don't become rules overnight. Changing the game meant bringing people together from every corner of the sport.
I think it took a lot of courage for us to implement some of the new rules, but we knew that if we did it in an authentic way and we got information from so many different stakeholders in parts of the game, that we could do it in a safe way that would help players, would help administrators and coaches, and really would be good for the sport.
Eventually, the conversation moved from meeting rooms to match day.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the first game ever with this in MLS Next Pro in 2022, where we got an email. We had to join a webinar where we had to go over these rules, and there was great understanding of how this was going to go and overview about these 2 specific rules that we're going to have implemented more specifically for MLS Next Pro. So I really thought the on-field treatment rule was an awesome implementation, because that's something that we deal with a ton as referees. It's something that causes friction, always causes issues for game management when you have players going down for injuries and calling a trainer on when it's not necessarily a serious injury. So I knew initially that was going to be a fantastic one, that was going to be helping our game improvement. And then the substitution rule we knew was also going to be one of the ones that was going to help. So I was really looking forward to doing that one and implementing that, because it's something that's game management we have to deal with.
The expectation was that there would be an adjustment period, maybe even resistance. Nobody knew how the players would respond once the whistle blew.
Players bought into it really quickly, and it was something that the entire league was able to understand it, and really you saw buy-in from everybody, and it was just really easily implemented at MLS Next Pro, and really didn't see much pushback. The biggest thing that I've seen is where players are smart enough to know if they leave the field voluntarily with our permission, they don't have to wait a minute. So if they're near the sideline or the end line or something where they say, hey ref, I just need a minute, I'm gonna go off, perfect. They can go off and get whatever treatment they need to, and they know they don't have to wait the minute. You're getting your treatment that you have, you're not implementing any of the on-field treatment rules or anything, you're just taking yourself out of it for a second. So that's where players are really coming smart to how they handle things. And then for the substitution rule, I've seen several times where I would talk to a captain and I tell him the player has to come off, and he's not, and you see a captain or a teammate pushing that player off the field because they know that if you're not off in that 10 seconds, they don't want to play for 10 at the disadvantage that they would have.
The changes on field were obvious, and the numbers told the same story.
The data was really compelling. If you look at the numbers before the rule was implemented, on average, for those stoppages associated with injuries that are 15 seconds or more, you really were looking at stoppages in games that were 5 to 6 times per game. Once we implemented the new rules, that number went down to between 1 and 1.5 times per game. And so the data was very, very compelling that when you implemented a rule like this, it really would reduce those preventable match delays. And that was really exciting for us. But when you do the analysis in terms of number of fouls and yellow cards and red cards and some of those metrics, we found that those remain consistent whether the rule was in place or not. And that was a positive dynamic for us. And it's one of the key indicators that the rule's working.
The experiment was working in MLS Next Pro and was brought to MLS 2 years later. That success pushed these ideas to the biggest stage in the game.
It's amazing that every single law change that comes into play comes from some competition or some situation that happened at maybe it was UEFA Champions League final, or maybe it was another World Cup that inspired a rule change. So to have from our own competition, coming from North America to have a rule change come into play for me, it's special because I've been there from the very beginning. I've helped implement this from a management standpoint, so I'm excited to see how it's going to be implemented on the world stage by competitions, by referees, and by teams from around the world.
For the people who helped build it, the impact is still sinking in.
You never really understand the impact that you might have on the sport. And so to be part of MLS Next Pro and to be part of this process and leading this process as it relates to new rules and innovation has been a real shining star for me as it relates to my career. I'm just super excited and proud and grateful to be part of the process. I can't wait for the games to happen in the World Cup and to see them. These are important new rules for the growth of the game, so it's extremely rewarding, and I can't articulate how happy and proud I am.
As we welcome you back here to Truist Point Stadium, it's 1-0 in favor of Carolina Core over Huntsville. Mark Schoenster with you here on the broadcast as we take a look at some of the scores across the league in MLS Next Pro. Here is a view of what happened on Friday and yesterday. A lot of goals to go around, some crazy games here. A lot of interesting results shaping up as the season goes along. these other matches, although right now you're looking at them and thinking, oh, that's just what's going on elsewhere if you're a fan of one of these two teams. But as we get further into the season, you're going to have to start paying attention to where these other teams are shifting about as far as the Eastern and the Western Conference. Of course, for these two teams in particular, the Eastern Conference, you got to take care of business first as an individual club because you're below that playoff line trying to climb up. But then you're going to have to start paying attention to the teams that are around you, and can you pass them, or are they also getting 3 points in a weekend and you're just trying to keep up? Each and every match day, each week, each month, that tension and that attention dials up just a little bit further, and you're a little bit more pertinent and more focused and attentive on what these other teams are doing. Here's a look at the schedule for games today. Of course, the game's at 7 o'clock, just kicking off here. A lot of good games here. You're going to make sure you tune in to some of these after this one concludes and get that West Coast action, that fix for you. And now that we've looked around the league and the other games, let's take a peek at some of the highlights from this game. A match that was pretty eventful throughout. So here is the first moment here. Huntsville having a couple of chances, and there's the header from Iniguez. And then they would ask a couple more questions. Nick Holliday making the save there. Only the biggest save he had to make in the game. Long distance effort, ends up skipping wide. So the first few chances in favor of Huntsville City. And then Carolina Core started to wake up and have their own moments. This is an opportunity that was dealt with really well by Will Mackey, a strong hand, and then he tracks down the loose piece. But they would keep on coming, Carolina Core. Yoshizawa on the other side of things. Had a couple moments where the ball was at his feet that he tried to make something happen. And then the pressure that won the ball back for Carolina Core in a dangerous spot. They'd have one shot, saved away. Another shot blocked, and then it falls to Thomas Rainbolt. And he puts it away to clean this one up and get the job done to put his team ahead 1-0. We're going to step aside one more time. When we come back, we will have the second half of action here for you. 1-0, your scoreline.
Yeah, boys hear sentiment, flow tastes sweet like cinnamon. Open up doors, I'm a gentleman. View top floor, I'm still staying ahead of them. Running on fumes and adrenaline. Do what I do best, can't rush in like a roulette. You can't name a better duet. Don't ask questions, trying to figure out what sound. Don't worry about what next, just wanna know what's next. Man, I say it so loud. Don't worry about what next, just know we got now. Oh yes, man, I say it oh so proud. Don't worry about what next, just know we got now.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
Back here at Truist Point Stadium, The second half is looming here in North Carolina as Carolina Court look to defend the 1-0 lead they've gained to this point. Meanwhile, Huntsville City trying to conjure up a comeback here in the second 45 minutes of action. Welcome one and all to the broadcast. My name is Mark Schoenster. Happy to get this one going once again as these two teams switch ends and get ready to duke it out once again. It was a good first 45 minutes of action. It was a good game. Hoping to see more of that going forward. There will be one change to be had between these two sides personnel-wise. I'm sure there will also be some adjustments, at least a little bit, in the approach for these two teams now that they've had a chance to mull over how everything transpired in the first half. But to step back to the changes, and actually I've now been updated, they're going to be a couple more of those. One for Huntsville and two for Carolina Court. So let me get those dialed in for you now. So the goal scorer, Thomas Rainbolt, will be subbing out. Corey Lundeen will be subbing on. And then David Diaz will be coming on for Seth Hammond. So those will be the two changes for interim head coach Jake Davis. And maybe more shocking, a change for Huntsville. Worth reminding, just 4 players on the bench in this game available for Chris O'Neill's side. And Gabriel Alonso will be coming out for Liam Devon, one academy player for another, which means he's just got 3 more players that he can turn to for the rest of this game. And it's worth acknowledging, as this one will roll wide, none of them are goalkeepers, so knock on wood that doesn't end up being an issue. So again, Lundeen and Diaz on, along with Liam Devon, a 16-year-old getting the chance to play. Rainbolt and Hammond making their way off, along with Alonso for Huntsville. Lovely Sunday evening in High Point, North Carolina. A bit humid, but that's about what you expect around this time of the year. 70% humidity, around the lower 80s temperature-wise. As David Diaz, the substitute, makes a run as he dishes the ball away. Orbaugh plays it over to the left. As Carolina Court want to find some insurance here. A team that had to deal with a significant delay in their last game. Don't think that's going to be something we run into here in this one this evening. Now, what do you do during a 4-ish hour rain delay when you're on the road stuck? Well, you watch the World Cup first off. Got to relax a little bit. Get off your feet, as Jake Davis said. But you got to balance that relaxing with maybe looking at some clips from the first 30 minutes of the match that you had played and just figuring out that balance. And then making sure you're ready to go once the time comes to play in the match once again. Today had been a little bit more customary for both of these teams as far as the order of operations leading into a game and then the match itself. After what was a pretty irregular, unorthodox week of action coming in. That delay on one end, the game post moment on the other side for Huntsville City. So maybe Watching World Cup has been one of the leisurely activities for both these teams. I imagine it has been. I know these players, though, like to get competitive about a lot of things, though. It's usually how it goes. If you're playing professional sport, then you're a pretty competitive person. It seems like every team has their different things that the players like to get into, and I heard that from Chris O'Neill that was quite a competitive gaming party amongst the guys on this Huntsville team. Yeah, very intense about it. And they also have some guys who like to golf, to the point that when they had a team bonding activity at Top Golf not too long ago, Chris O'Neill was impressed with the way some of those guys were able to swing the club. And that's not a bad second activity, because it would be pretty difficult for a young soccer athlete to put themselves at any risk of injury playing golf or video gaming for that matter. Do things you can sink some time into. And for golf, fully enjoy other people's company, and then gaming, obviously if you're playing with others, then that's also the case. A little push over here will mean a free kick for Carolina Court 5 minutes into the second half. Crowd here looking for a second straight home win. Offering a Jersey Jam bundle today for fans of the match, as this one is swung in and Stribling will play it out of harm's way temporarily. Montenegro has it again. Pineda couldn't quite get on the receiving end of that one. And from the ground, the clearance is provided by Pariano. And now Arno Tateva is down on the ground in the penalty area. He's not doing too much moving. Let's take a look and see what happened here. Just gets upended. I mentioned in the first half, and I'll say it again, it's a big back line for this Huntsville City team. Malachi Molina, the right back at 6 feet tall. Nigel Prince, center back, 6'2", and then Kessie Koulibaly, center back at 6'7". That's a lot of force coming at you. Good to see he's back up and managing, though. Arno Tateva, the primary goal-scoring option, the Frenchman for this Carolina Core team, 6 goals this season. Last played with Vermont Green in USL League 2. Was able to win the whole league without losing that season. They called themselves the Invincibles after the fact, which, look, you get to earn that nickname when you do, well, just that. So, pretty cool achievement from him, and then now elevating to the MLS Next Pro level, playing as a professional. Looking to continue to prove his value as a player. Bryce Swinehart looking to do the exact same thing. His debut after being announced yesterday. Starting lineup for Carolina Court. This one couldn't quite reach the boot of a white kit, but another dangerous ball. Bear plays it up ahead. Diaz Pulls it along that left-hand side to Lundeen, who threw in a little bit too harsh a shove. Carolina Core, the side right now, looking to be the protagonists. Also up a goal. And you don't have to worry as much about defending your lead if you're the only side that's asking any questions and the only side that's really showing any likelihood of scoring. Of course, that comes with the risk of perhaps leaving yourself vulnerable to a quick counterattack. But you can't exactly practice passivity when it's just a one-goal game. Gotta go and get another. Swinehart. Also back to the middle for Charles Orbaugh. Diaz. Popping it up ahead. Tateva wins a corner kick. Here's Corey Lundeen, who will provide the service on this right corner kick. This right-hand side corner kick. Lundeen. Deflected out. And there'll be another corner kick. We'll get another crack at it. Corner kicks have very much been in favor of Carolina Core in this game. This one taken short. Open look, shot towards goal. Ping straight up into the air. Dribbling, chests it away. This effort takes a couple of glances. Molina. Now it's Lundeen. Trying to keep this one in bounds. Ends up being a throw-in for Carolina Core. Orbaugh. Rolls it over to Ryan Bear. Now it's out wide. Diaz trying to take on a defender himself. And a little too much contact. It'll be a free kick for the visitors, the trailing side, Huntsville City. As a proud sponsor of Carolina Core, Duderman Law Group knows the value of teamwork. And with the Duderman team behind you, you'll have the power to win the injury compensation you deserve. Duderman Law Group, a passion for justice, the experience to win. Joshua Swansea trying to hold up play there. It wasn't stout, but it got the job done, and that's what you need. Ultimately, doesn't need to look pretty. Swansea getting his first start at the tip of the spear of the formation. I'd love to be getting him more involved as this game goes along. They're in need of an equalizer. And he will be one of the targets that they'll be looking for to find it. Diaz. Pulling this one out wide. Him and Lundeen have been super involved off the bench since the start of this half. No wonder they both got the sub in from interim head coach Jake Davis.
It's time for the O's Foxes to unleash the Foxway.
A coaching staff that recently, in a much needed way, got bigger with the addition of assistant coach David Hughes II, a guy that has some familiarity with Jake Davis, some overlap in their journeys as coaches, and he has been a huge help, according to Jake Davis. Wind-up shot. Oh, not too far off target. Here's a look at it again. Well done from Tateva, shrugging off the aggressors defensively. Or the defensive aggressors, and then a flying effort just rising. As now Will Mackey aching a little bit here after sprawling out to try to cover his bases. Worth re-emphasizing there isn't a goalkeeper on the bench as an option for Chris O'Neill. So the training staff are going to come on. And this, you hope, does not lead to some lose-lose decisions. We're going to take another look at what happened to Mackey on this play. Obviously, you're looking at the shot taker and the ball, but let's watch the goalkeeper this time, obviously, right side of your screen. He goes flying, and just an awkward landing. He ends up grabbing his right leg. Trying to give it a good stretch after he goes down. Coming into this game, Huntsville City just had 4 players on their bench as options, none of which goalkeepers. And if Will Mackey cannot keep going, you're just going to have to throw a field player into that spot. But it looks like he's going to soldier through. I mean, here's the deal. If you can't go, you can't go. It's not like you could just keep opting to play, even if the trainers recommend you get subbed off. I mean, you just don't want to be risky, especially in a mid-season game in late June. You don't want to do anything that could harm your chances to play for the rest of the season. But every player is going to fight through a little bit of pain at this point in the year. It's such a long, arduous season. Everybody picks up knocks and bruises, all the like cuts. Anything that you might gather playing the sport when you're doing it week to week. By the end of the year, everyone's muscling through a little bit of something. As Carolina Court try to muscle their way to a 2-0 lead, but Mackey able to make the save. Maybe with a bit of a grimace on his face, but he'll grit his teeth and get the job done. I was talking about Assistant Coach Hughes earlier. Jake Davis called him a huge help as we now get some substitutions. 2 more coming in for Huntsville. So, well, they've now used up 3 of the 4 guys that they could be subbing in at this point. 2 familiar faces, Fabian Reynolds and Klaus Sullivan, will sub on. As Stribling, along with Iniguez, will sub off. So your 2 wingers being reloaded here for the final 30 or so minutes. Fabian Reynolds with his 6th appearance of the season. Klaus Sullivan, been a regular fixture off the bench this year, his 13th appearance. Now the question will be, will one of those 2 guys jolt some life into this game for Huntsville? Because up to this point, it has been one-way traffic in the second half. And it's looking to continue here. Shot parried across the middle, and it's tapped out for a corner kick. Carolina Court have been on the front foot for this entire second half. And now they're just looking for the goal to back up that claim. Another corner kick for the home side. It'll once again be Corey Lundeen, the substitute, who will await the go-ahead to take it. J.C. Griggs trying to manage things away from the box. And we have a player down, also getting tended to once again for Huntsville. A team that is so short on options here. And it just seems like players are picking up some damage here that you just cannot afford to have. We've got just one more player that you could sub off this game, and looks like that's Joshua Swansea, who is going to have to trot off the pitch and wait to get waved back on. But the moment you use that sub, then someone else could get hurt, and then you're out of options. Obviously, it's a situation with Chris O'Neill and his head coaching staff, their hands are tied. I mean, you don't know the future. You don't have the 8 ball to tell you what could happen in this game and how to manage the minutes. Corner is swung in. Pineda does a good job to shield the ball away. Gets it over to Lundeen. Diaz. Cross comes in. Deflects poorly. Swinehart jumps on it. Falls through. Oh, it's a slipping effort from Orball. Had a chance to put it on goal. A chaotic sequence. It stays 1-0. Swinehart on the ball. You can't miss him with his bright hair flopping around as he runs. Orball will square it to Bryce Swinehart in his Carolina Core debut. Diaz along the touchline. Diaz with the cross. Settled down and claimed by Mackey. Ball ricocheted off the turf by Czech. As we get a whistle, a free kick, and it'll be halted as well, we'll see if a substitution is allowed to be taking place here. There was one loading up, getting ready to go, and it will take place. So, I mentioned Bryce Swinehart started the game today, was announced yesterday. How about Bodie Ford subbing into the game, was announced today. He'll be making his Carolina Core debut. 18 years old. The fullback subbing on for Andrew Czech. Coming over from the Barca Academy, the Barca Residency Academy, to be precise, over in Arizona. And also had 3 appearances with USL Championship side New Mexico United last season. Signed today along with his brother Graham to Carolina Core. So a duo that was playing together in the academy continue to play together now at the professional ranks, as this one's played over to Diaz. Sliding challenge knocks it out of harm's way. Fans High Point University is the premier life skills university, attracting students from all 50 states and 50 countries. Discover why families are flocking to HPU at www.highpoint.edu. See the nice High Point University banner behind the goal over here on this side. Carolina Core trying to launch some shots that don't hit that banner, but maybe hit the net and rip through it and then hit the banner. I guess you could take that as an end result, but you're shooting in that vicinity. Look for the purple and let it rain. Lundeen with a lot of room to operate. Lundeen keeps that one on the grass as it's cleared out of play. Sent back in. Recovered by Montenegro. So we've seen some adjustments, some new players brought in as of late, new staff members brought in for Carolina core since Jake Davis took over as interim head coach last month. This one lofted in. Both players go down. The whistle now sounds. And we're waiting to see what the decision is here. It looks like it's going to be a foul outside of the box. Yeah, just outside the box, and it'll be a yellow card to boot. Just fractions away from being a penalty kick. As the foul looked to be given there to Liam Devon, the second half substitute. Academy guy with his second appearance of the season after playing for 16 minutes back in March. Liam Devon, the teenager. And now a set piece opportunity for this Carolina core team. Already up a goal. They scored it in the first half, courtesy of Thomas Rainbolt. And they have been begging for a second goal throughout the entirety of this second half of action. Perhaps this is the moment that they find it. Arno Tateva, accompanied by Yair Kaiser. Kaiser has a hit. It's another great save from Mackey. Will Mackey has been flying around this game. And right now, he is the reason this is still just a one-score affair. Flying to his right-hand side. With an ailing leg, Will Mackey continues to step up. Wind-up effort, takes a deflection. That sliding challenge, sacrificial to keep Huntsville in this game. But at some point, you just wonder if this wall is going to crack and Carolina core will break through. It's getting closer and closer to being a reality. Lundeen. That one makes its way out of the box. Here's an effort, and that one will go wide. And a sigh of relief can be heaved by Huntsville players, staff, and fans. Yair Kaiser having a go from distance. They could keep going here. Carolina core after winning the ball back. And it's played out for yet a once again, Corey Lundeen, who has spent a lot of time over here in the second half, whipping in these corner kicks. Lundeen. Also the top. Ford in his debut with Carolina core. Bodie Ford rolling it in centrally. Not out of the woods. This time it's cleared. Ryan Bear jostling for the ball. That player's playing it from the ground. Bear persists. And I think he's going to be called for a foul for his final sliding effort there at the end of things. Now the ball's rolling one way, and Ryan Bear is sliding in the other direction. Just catches Malachi Molina on the follow-through. the entirety of their player bench options. Swansea is out. And Andre Krakorian will sub in. Just his second appearance of the season after playing a match back in May against Chicago Fire 2. 17 years old. For the rest of the game, everyone on the Huntsville side of things are crossing their fingers on several fronts. Carolina Core, once again, working down this right-hand side. I tell you what, David Diaz and Corey Lundeen have come into this game and have been very potent. As Lundeen plays it into the middle, cleared away. This one will trickle out to Ford. Bodie Ford swerving around, playing it into the middle. It skips about. No white jersey could get on the end of it. Jarvis squares it to his left. And now it's rolled up the left-hand side. It's been all defending this entire game for Huntsville, or at least this entire second half, I should say. Can they change the narrative? It pops through. Ball lifted up in the air. And it's caught by Nick Holliday, and you're wondering if a moment there that a bicycle kick was churning in the mind of Klaus Sullivan. Fabian Reynolds making the run down that left-hand side, trying to make it happen, and for the first time here in the second half, Nick Holliday has had to do something. Goes up, catches that ball, and that's that. Got a good goalkeeping group here in Carolina. Nick Holliday leading the way. Reynolds rolls it up ahead. Well done there from Ricardo Montenegro. Weaving with the ball at his feet and swerving away and making himself some space. Huntsville. You can talk about how lopsided this game has been in the second half, but the fact that it's still a 1-0 scoreline means that they can still smash and grab a result here, or even turn the tide just in these last 15 minutes. Diaz on the other side. David Diaz sliding it across. Will Mackey standing on his head. It's another save. It's been an incredible showing from the goalkeeper. Sun in his eyes. It doesn't matter. Will Mackey, have yourself an evening. Just incredible. Ball swung in. Nothing to be done there. Ford. He'll step inside. Tried to feed it in the middle for Montenegro. He's had himself a really good game, Ricardo Montenegro. Now Diaz. From the right channel. Roll this one back. Trying to see this one to the finish line, Carolina Core, and maybe give themselves a little bit more comfortable a score line here. You certainly would feel that they would deserve it up to this point. But really, the fact that they are not winning by more than a goal, you can look at Will Mackey for that. Some fantastic saves, especially here in the second half. Montenegro. Orball. We'll roll this over to the left-hand side. Up to this point in the game, Carolina Core have had 5 shots on target, 4 great saves from Mackey. Carolina Core fans, CIBC is the official wealth management partner of Carolina Core FC.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Due to the high temperature at tonight's match, for the safety of the players, the referee has indicated that a hydration break will commence.
We are now going to get another hydration break here as the weather still pretty hot and humid here in High Point. 1-0 still your scoreline. The lone goal from Thomas Rainbolt in the first half. It has been basically all Carolina Core here in the second half of action. But they don't have that goal to really drive that fact home. You can look at the numbers, you can look at what you've been seeing with your eyeballs, but the fact of the matter is this is still a 1-goal game. And there are ample dangerous players from this Huntsville team that could go and steal a goal here in the final 10 or so minutes. But it is worth acknowledging, with the way the second half has unraveled, that it was a short-handed Huntsville team coming into this game. Just 4 players on their bench coming into the match. They have now used all 4 of those substitutions. But certainly not the roster compilation that you're hoping for going into a match. Of course, in some contexts, it's a good thing because you've got players who are right now training with the first team and are getting that experience. We're going to get another substitution here, and it's going to be another debut for this Carolina Core team. So, there were several announcements yesterday and into today of new signings. Bryce Swinehart was announced yesterday. He started in this game. And then the brothers Bodie and Graham Ford were announced today. And Graham Ford has just subbed into this match for Ryan Bear. I mentioned it earlier. Graham and Bodie Ford were playing together at the Barca Residency Academy, which was a really cool experience for them playing together. Playing in the MLS Next Cup. Started playing together on the same team in January, and, well, I guess they get to keep that train rolling just with a different shirt on. After, of course, years of playing together in the backyard and whatnot. This is a really cool story, and that's the case, and now it's the next chapter of their stories. As we've got another player getting tended to here for Huntsville. I just got to emphasize just how cool it is playing with your brother at the professional level. I mean, I think about if the times I've played even just pickup games with my siblings now, that how cool it is given, you know, you grew up playing with them and now you get the chance to play with them with just other random people. But when you're working, going to academies, you have your aspirations of playing as a pro and you know that your sibling does as well, and now you're both simultaneously realizing that dream a little bit here. That's just fantastic. Shout out to the Ford family, and of course, they won't be celebrating it right now. They'll be dialed in, talking about the two players. But that'll be a cool moment that they'll get to share after the final whistle, especially if they could see out this result. Huntsville, of course, will be looking to spoil that moment. And maybe they'll have a chance to spoil it here, having the ball in the attacking half. And that's not something you could say for a lot of this second 45 minutes. But 5 more minutes to go, plus whatever stoppage time gets included. Huntsville looking to see if they can take something away from this game. You wonder if perhaps that contentment with the 1-0 scoreline starts to sink in if you're Carolina Core. They certainly haven't demonstrated any sort of relaxation up to this point with just the 1-0 lead. But as that clock gets to larger and larger numbers, you just know that seeps in your mind that you're just trying to see this to the finish line. Well, there's that substitution. Graham Ford now subbing into the game. So now officially, the brothers are on the pitch together. Graham Ford and Bodie Ford. Now here comes a free kick for Huntsville. I alluded to it earlier in the game. There are some big targets that you can swing this ball to if you're Huntsville City. Nigel Prince, Malachi Molina, Kessie Koulibaly. I mean, you can see number 21 in the box right now, right by the penalty marker. It's a head and shoulders above everybody else. Can they find an equalizer in a game that's been tilted against them here in the second half? Cross whipped in. Koulibaly rised up for it but couldn't connect. And a nice little volley clearance. Mackey able to manage with the ball at his feet, well outside of his box. Time ticking away here for the visitors. That's a good touch there from Devin. And then he goes down. Play goes on. Diaz launches it up the pitch. Tateva. That's a good run of the ball. Pineda. Sliding challenge knocks it out for a corner kick. Nigel Prince with an important tackle. We're going to need training staff on the pitch once again as Antonio Pineda takes a bite on that challenge from Nigel Prince. He's still down on the ground. Just minutes left to go in this game. Pineda, 26 years old. North Carolina from Statesville. After joining the squad midway through last season. Is back here again this year, and today actually means that he has surpassed his regular season tally from last year, or just his tally in general last year, at 8 appearances, 2 assists, and this being his 9th appearance this season. 2 goals, 1 assist this year for Pineda. He'll see his evening come to an end as he's walked off the pitch. A sub will be coming on for him here in a moment. The return of Khalid Balogun, whom has been unavailable with injury as of late, but they've been working him back in. It was going to be a close call if he was going to be able to play in this game or not. Balogun will play. Lundin with yet another corner kick to service from the right corner flag. It's chopped back out to him. Lundin lofted up. Has an open man there. And nowhere to go with it. And we see 10 more minutes of stoppage time added on. So we're gonna hit triple digits here as far as the clock is concerned. Still a lot of time for things to develop in this game. Both sides are relying on some new faces in this game. It's a 1-0 scoreline. Thomas Rainbolt with the difference maker in this game. Carolina Core have been the aggressors basically this entire second half. But it's a 1-goal game, which means Yoshizawa can make a difference here. Booted up into the air. Devin sliding it forward, but intervening is Swinehart. Montenegro. He'll roll it out over to Bodie Ford. And now he'll give it a launch. Balogun, who's a big man himself, 6'4". That's a proper number 9. Of course, he's wearing number 14, but positional sense, he's that big target you want at the top. You do stuff like that. Just keep a player on his back. He's taking 2 players on by himself. And he's dragged down. It'll be a free kick or a corner kick. Really, they're going to be basically the same thing here. How about that strength? Khalid Balogun. But it'll officially be a free kick since he was dragged down by 2 different players. And he's going to try and do it again. The boss man in the corner. You've got to be joking. 3 of them. Huntsville eventually win the ball back. But you can't help but be impressed by Khalid Balogun there. Ball's won back. Carolina Court trying to quickly go the other way, but then it takes a deflection. Diaz. Lundin will chop it over to the left-hand side. Kaiser on the ball. Sliding it up the pitch. Foul's called. Swinehart. Into the middle of the pitch it goes. Montenegro rolling it over to the left-hand side. Now the ball is lofted up the pitch, where Will Mackey will catch it. He won't get a clean sheet today, and he's looking at his side not winning this game, but Will Mackey will not have to hang his head on the performance he's had in this game. Montenegro, excuse me, that's Lundin. Ball slid forward. Swinehart out wide to Diaz. Those two will do a little pitch and catch. Diaz able to work his way by one defender. Diaz dragging it along the touchline. David Diaz still with it. His service ends up hitting Koulibaly. We still got 5 more minutes of the stoppage time to go. Huntsville haven't posed any threat yet here at stoppage time or in the late stages. Can they change that now? Nick Holliday. It rolls to him. I was mentioning earlier, they feel really good about their goalkeeping group. Holliday, a quiet leader, who has been regaining confidence as he spent time with his Carolina core team. Got a young Nolan Anderson, who has a bright future. And then if Nick Holliday is a quiet goalkeeper, they've got Trevor Jackson on the other side, who's probably one of the loudest guys in the room, according to Jake Davis. But what he loves about the 3 guys is they're 3 misfits, and he's just all about it. And honestly, well, hold on, we're going to hold that thought. Balogun. Also some fighting words being exchanged there. Want to keep it pleasant here, especially in the final minutes of the game. I feel like, though, if you're a goalkeeper, if you're playing goalkeeper, you got to have a couple screws loose, right? You're throwing your body around. You're getting soccer balls just hurled at you at high velocity. And you welcome it. You're ready for it. You're trying to punch it away, putting your body on the line. Got to be a little bit crazed. And there's Nick Holliday flying up for that one to give it a catch. And he wasn't thinking about how he was going to land. He was just trying to make sure it did not offer any danger, as Holliday is slow to get up. Looks like he'll be good to go, though. Holliday will punt it up the pitch with a little over 2 minutes of the allotted 10 to go. Jarvis taps it back as it looks like we're getting a little bit of rain here. Devin has his pass cleared away by Diaz. Molino on the ball. Still a chance to tie this game. Could there be on to be something here? Holliday once again claiming. They got some numbers forward, Huntsville. So we have just been notified that there is a weather delay with 2 minutes of the 10 stoppage time to go. So we're gonna step aside and we'll see when this game resumes once again. And we welcome you back here to Truist Point Stadium, where, as you see, we have undergone about an hour weather delay with about 90 seconds left to go in this ball game between Carolina Core and Huntsville City, a game in which Carolina Core took the lead in the first half and were incessantly knocking on the door in the second half of action, but could not find a second goal. Huntsville City FC have had maybe 2 forays into the attacking half to try to find an equalizer. The more recent one was followed by the whistle sounding for the weather delay. And so, we have returned now, an hour later. Many fewer left in the crowd now after everyone was ushered away, and the game just under 100 seconds from being over. But we are back here to wrap things up, to give the proper 10 minutes of allocated time for Huntsville to try and see if they can find an equalizer here. And that is exactly what they're going to do. Mark Schoenster with you here on the broadcast, as this one is booted away. This one not over to Molina. Molina cutting back inside. Cleared out by Kaiser. Played back in. Ball swung across. And Nick Holliday will see that breeze away from goal. We have now hit triple digits on the clock. And the final whistle sounds. Carolina Core now victorious 1-0 over Huntsville City. If you sat tight with us for the last hour waiting for this conclusion, I hope that was all you were hoping it would be. They see this one through. And they get 3 points for a second straight game at home. It's starting to form here for Carolina Core under interim head coach Jake Davis. And they're hoping that this is really the start of the upswing as we now take a look at tonight's man of the match presented by Adidas. And it's our goal scorer. Who else would it be? Thomas Rainbow in the first half. Slots it home nicely. It's a clean finish. Gets the job done. And that would end up being the game winner. Second goal of the season for the midfielder. As his team take the lead and take all 3 points now that the final whistle has been sounded. That is where this show will end. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I'm Mark Schoenster. Once again, our final score is 1-0 in favor of Carolina Core FC. Don't forget you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLSNextPro.com and OneFootball. Have a good night, everybody.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.